Welcome to the Living in Utah Thursday live question and answer session. I'm here every Thursday, same time, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time, and 7 p.m. Pacific Time. So this is an open forum. We can talk about anything you want to, whether it's living in Utah, living in the United States. Sometimes I get people joining me from around the world. So if you got questions about the United States, by all means, I will do my very best to answer them also. And we can talk about real estate investing, anything that you might have in Utah. I love the state of Utah. I love doing this. I love where I live. I'm a big believer in the state, so it's my passion. I absolutely love it. Today in Utah, it was a sunny day. We are now in about the 95, 96 degree temperature range. We were last week, the week before, hitting 100 degrees, 100 degree plus. I think we are due for some more 100 degree days. I think next week it was what the forecast is, but I do like this time of year. I'm an outdoor guy, so I quite enjoy my outdoor activities. So gets a little toasty in the afternoon, but if I got plenty of water, I'm pretty good. Let's see what is happening in the news. So in Utah, we are in a little bit of a drought situation. We did not get the snowpack that we typically get during the winter months last winter. So we have water restrictions on watering your yard. Most cities are recommending only 2 days a week, 2 to 3 days a week, depending on what city you're in. And they are looking at cutting off some of what we call the secondary water, which is water that just comes from the mountains. Some people have secondary water being plumbed into their house, and you use that for like your garden or your water. It's unfiltered, untreated. Anyways, that is running very low. So they're looking at cutting that off in August of this year. And normally I think it runs to like October 15th, I think, is the normal cutoff, maybe October 1st, somewhere around there. So with the water problems, we are having an issue with construction in a town. Let's pull it up here. In a town called Oakley, Utah. So currently, they are stopping new construction because they do not have the infrastructure to supply water to new home builds. Oakley is located in the Park City area, is what I pretty much count. It's considered Summit County, but right down here is Park City. Here's your Interstate 80 that goes into Salt Lake City, goes this direction up to Evanston, Wyoming. So just around the corner from Park City, in a sense, is Oakley. Some of the popular cities like Camas is in the area. There's the Jordanelle State Park. That is a great place. A lot of people go there boating. So Oakley is having a problem with water. So they are putting a temporary halt until more water is available to continue home construction. Now, I did hear a rumor that there's a city by Logan, I believe, somewhere, I think, north of Logan. They were having a very similar issue. Actually, with the growth in Utah, it's happening in a few places. I believe, I think it's far west Utah that they put a stop on building permits until they could upgrade their sewer system. So it just couldn't handle all the new builds. So they literally were putting, I think, larger pipes, things like that, in to handle the construction. Nightmare. Utah is amazing, isn't it? Said by a Utahn. I think Utah is amazing. I love living here. I love the state of Utah. It suits my lifestyle and what I enjoy, et cetera, and my family. We have a great time. We really enjoy Utah. So, and my wife is from Idaho, so we know both states pretty well. Utah is amazing, isn't it? Yes, I enjoy Utah. We are having rain right now Okay. What state or what city are you currently in the state of Utah that you are getting rain at the current moment? I know southern Utah is receiving some rain, kind of like the monsoon season is coming through. So what's the good, bad, and ugly about Saratoga Springs? Just put an offer on a house out there coming from PNW. I assume that's Pacific Northwest. Saratoga Springs is a great area. No real negatives. Well, some people might feel it's a negative because you're kind of isolated away from like the Provo Orem area. Some people like to be right in the center of town, or where everything is happening. At where Saratoga Springs, you are. So we can pull it up on the map here. To me, it's not a negative because I don't mind driving a little bit to get to any kind of amenities or into town, et cetera, go to Costco, Sam's Club, you name it. So if you're joining us from outside the state, we are talking Saratoga Springs right now. And let me just enlarge. This will be Saratoga Springs, but where it's located, here's your Provo Orem area. That a lot of people are familiar with Provo Orem area. It's one of the bigger names that is known around the United States. Here's areas like Lehigh and Draper. So Saratoga Springs sits over here. That would be Saratoga Springs and Eagle Mountain. They kind of get lumped together in a sense. They kind of go hand in hand a little bit. But the only negative would be, like if you've got to go into Provo Orem area, or if you wanted up into Salt Lake City, you're not right in the town. You're not right in the major metropolitan of Provo Orem or Salt Lake City. And to me, that is not a negative. But for some people, it is. I've helped people in that area, and some people just do not want that area because of that. But apart from that, everything else is a pro. So it's a great area. It's a great community, low crime. If you are working anywhere in that area, you really have a short commute. So I think it's good. I think it's all positive. Roughly Salem. Okay, gotcha. Okay, I know where you're at. Won't say specifically for privacy reasons. Okay, understand that. We like it quiet and boring and don't mind a drive. And that's exactly what you've got in Saratoga Springs. I probably could not have said it better. It'll be quiet, friendly. But you're to me, you're a short distance to all your shopping, movie theaters, restaurants, you name it. You're right around the corner. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Not for me. Know about Skinwalker Ranch? I do not. I have never heard of Skinwalker Ranch. That's a new one for me. That is a new one for me. Also in the news, so we were talking about the drought. The Great Salt Lake has dropped to a record-tying historic low. Shrinking down there. So there's a joke, and I'm trying to remember the governor, but I was around the early 1980s, somewhere around there. I won't try to guess the exact year. But Salt Lake City and that had some floods from the Salt Lake. And the governor, they put pumps out in the Great Salt Lake. And they're actually underwater. So that if the water level gets too high, the pumps will pump the water out, so they will not have the flooding problem. And the joke always is, pretty soon the Great Salt Lake is going to drop to a level where you will be able to see the pumps. So great. Up in southern Utah. Yeah, I know where Salem is at. Wasn't familiar with Skinwalker Ranch, though. What are your thoughts on Ogden? A Utahn realtor said it was the armpit of Utah. Well, I wouldn't say it was the armpit of Utah. Ogden and some other cities in Utah, West Valley, I actually did a video on some of the neighborhoods have some of the higher crime rates that we have in the state. So Ogden is a community that I go to. I have no problems going to Ogden. I feel totally safe in Ogden. I may not be there in the middle of the night type thing, but Ogden has some communities that surround actual Ogden that is fantastic. You have areas like South Ogden, North Ogden. The East Bench of Ogden is absolutely beautiful. West Haven, Hooper, Far West, Pleasant View, a lot of cities around that are absolutely magnificent cities. So, but yeah, it's Ogden is one of the original towns. And so they have had a little bit of issue with some crime, and it pops up on some of the reports, but so do some other cities in Salt Lake City and also the Provo Orem area. There's some areas. So, yeah, but there's some great areas around Ogden that have lower crime. Northwest. Gotcha. Fort Duchesne, United States. That is where it's at. Oh, okay. Okay. Skinwalker Ranch. Duchesne, Utah. Great. If you're down that area, were you affected by any of the floods that come through a couple weeks ago? Okay. So something that happened this last weekend, sad story. A hiker died while climbing Bridal Veil Falls. It's a very popular hiking spot, beautiful waterfall, amazing place to go. Been there numerous times myself. But the thing to remember about some of and I'm not too sure exactly. I know he fell to his death, and I can only guess possibly what happened, but I've heard of instances like this throughout the state that people will climb the rocks where the water is coming down, and it gets very slippery, lose a foot, lose an arm, and boom, you go sliding down the mountainside. So word of warning, if you're hiking at a waterfall, it can be very, very slippery. Okay. What about the noise of the jets in Layton from Hill Air Force Base? Some say it rattles the windows. Some say it's the sound of freedom. Okay. I'll go with number 2, sound of freedom, because I've lived in Davis County, so I'm very familiar with the jet noise. The military does a great job to limit the jet noise. So if you're looking, let me pull up a map here. It'll be a little easier to put Hill Air Force Base on the map here. That'll be a lot easier. I've never experienced it rattling the windows, but okay, Hill Air Force Base. Oh, let's see if they'll show us the runway. So here's the runway for Hill Air Force Base. And it predominantly runs north to south. The typical flight pattern that they typically use is they will take off to the south. So this area of Layton right here, you're right underneath the flight path for Hill Air Force Base. So that is your noisiest area. But they do, so most of the times when they take off, they will take off and they will head straight to the west, across areas like Syracuse, etc. When they come back into town, they usually come, because they land from the north, they're usually coming across like the Roy area, and then they bank to land at the base. That is their typical flight pattern. Coming back in, I mean, if I'm like outside on the golf course or something like that, I will hear them go by, but they are at partial throttle. I mean, they're coming into land, so the noise from them is very minimal. Your biggest noise is during takeoff, so this area does get, but they, in my opinion, now I've never been a pilot at Hill Air Force Base, so I don't know what I'm talking about 100%, but They seem to gain altitude very, very fast at takeoff, and I think that is to minimize the noise over the community. So they are climbing at a very high rate of speed as they are taking off and banking towards the west. So, and I've actually lived in some of these cities right here, and inside the house, I really didn't hear it. I really didn't hear the noise. If you had the TV going or the radio going or something going on, now if the house was dead quiet, yes, you could hear it go by. So that would be Hill Air Force Base. All right, jet noise, Hill Air Force Base. Up in the hills. Do you think that Utah would be a big target in a World War III? No, I do not. I think that most foreign countries would probably look at Utah on a map and go, does anyone live there? No, I would think if somebody want to attack the United States, they're going to go for some name recognition like LA and New York. So Washington, D.C. Can you check out my mom's to see it is the survival? Sure, take a look at it sometime. Would renting a home be cheaper in Ogden rather than Salt Lake City? Yes, yes. So, as we look at the map, see if we can go back to the map here and just have a quick look at. Yes. As we look at Salt Lake City, so there's a couple areas that you will find higher rents when you're in the downtown area of Salt Lake City, on the east bench of Salt Lake City, and then anywhere in the Draper, Alpine, Highlands, this whole area where the tech industry has moved in, and this whole area right here will be some of your more expensive areas to go. Now, as you're talking to the north, it decreases the further you get away from Salt Lake City typically. So Salt Lake City to maybe Layton, Kaysville might be $100, $200, $300 difference in rent. And as you get up towards the Ogden area, it probably drops another $100 or $200, I would imagine. Just to give you perspective, I have a fourplex in Ogden. They're 2-bedroom, 1-bath, probably about 850 square foot. We rent them anywhere from about $800 to $875. In Salt Lake City, that is probably a $1,200, $1,250 rental. And maybe we're renting them too cheap, but I don't know. But that's a rough guide. So. No, since it's not near any of the big cities, I assume California, New York, Florida, Texas would be a major World War III target. Correct. That's kind of how I thought about that too. What pests do you have? Scorpions, rattlesnakes, ticks? Not really. Not really. I don't recall seeing a scorpion. Now, not in the residential areas. Now, when you get to the backcountry or some of the hiking trails, yes, you'll find some snakes and, possibly scorpion. I've never seen any. So Utah, what a beautiful place. There you go. Keith Johnson. How much snow is typical in the general Salt Lake City area? Okay, so once again, that will depend on where you are located. Look at the map again. As we look at, as we look at the whole northern Utah range, I use I-15 as a guide. So if you're anywhere near the I-15 range, I would say the average snowfall on one snow day or one storm that comes through, you're 2 to 3 inches. 2 to 3 inches would be average. Sometimes it'll be an inch. Sometimes it might be 4 inches. And that's anywhere along I-15 as you're going up. Now, as you climb to the east, any parts along the east, whether it's Bountiful, Salt Lake City, East Mill Creek, any of those areas, you could probably double the snowfall. So if you're getting 2 or 3 inches right here, you're probably 4, 5, 6 inches on the bench. And that's because the elevation is higher. So I would say probably double along what we call the east bench, all the way along the mountainside. Anything that's along the east bench will receive more snowfall. But most snowfalls, I would say, 2 or 3 inches is probably average, probably an inch sometimes, but 4 inches, 5 inches, and sometimes you can have a storm. The tough ones, the ones that get the lake effect. So you'll get a snowstorm that comes in and then it hangs around and keeps going, and it can dump all day, and you could be 2 or 3 inches in the morning, 2 or 3 inches in the afternoon, etc. Sometimes the storm fronts will just come across one right after another. So you'll get one day you get 2 or 3 inches, the next day 2 or 3 inches, the next day 2 or 3 inches, and it just comes in a pattern sometimes. So also have a YouTube channel name, Nightmare. Please sub. I'll look that up. I definitely will. What is the channel about would be my question. We are LDS. Okay. Appreciate the info. Fly fished to Weber and Provo in May and kind of fell in love with the place. Yes, I'm not a fly fisherman myself, but I've had friends and colleagues that fly fish, and it's amazing. A friend of mine, an acquaintance, he was a military pilot, and then he became a UPS pilot. He retired from UPS as a pilot, and he fished a little bit, but in retirement years, he really got into fishing, and he studies it unbelievable. And the things that he tells me, he studies all the lakes, the streams all over Utah, Idaho, Montana, and he can tell you what time of year it is, where the fish will be, what the water temperature is at certain depths, etc. He has studied it to an unbelievable art, and it's something that he put his mind to it, and it's been nonstop journey. So Frank H, I'm familiar with northern and southern Utah, but does central Utah have anything to offer? Any parks, towns, any festivities, and how's the weather there? So yeah, central Utah is, when we go back to the map here, so when we're talking central Utah, in my opinion, central Utah will be an area pretty much from, I would say, just outside Provo all the way down to St. George. There is not much in this whole area. It's very rural at the current moment. You have Cedar City, somewhere about an hour outside of St. George. Cedar City will pop up. Cedar City is a fairly large town, but some of these towns like Beaver and somewhere along here will be Nephi. Very, very small towns, rural living, not many amenities. If you needed like major medical, etc., you would have to go into Provo, Orem, or probably down to St. George. Specialists, stuff like that. You'll find like maybe some small grocery stores in some of the towns, just small town America. But if you're looking for larger grocery stores like the Winkos and the Sam's Club and the Costco's, you'll have to pop into Provo, Orem area. So, and actually there's a city right here, a good friend of mine about 2 years ago, they moved out here to Delta, and they love it out there. It's small town living, and he's a retired gentleman, his family, but he kind of regrets it a little bit now. They make a lot of trips in the Provo Orem area for medical and shopping, and the drive time is quite a bit. So yes, that would be central Utah. All right, blogs. What are the use of farm circles? What's the current market like? Appreciation, multiple offers? Yes, 100%. We are a appreciation market and multiple offers, no doubt, no doubt, multiple offers. If you're under $1 million, I would say probably multiple offers. Clients that I've got above $1 million, not as many multiple offers. There are some depending on the neighborhood, but in general, not as much. But anything below, yes, multiple offers still. So many people moving here, and the growth is expected to continue. I think by 2050, they project the population doubling. And if we get the Winter Olympics, which the state of Utah has thrown their name in the hat, and they have a committee with some former Olympians on the committee, and they are trying to bring the Olympics back to Utah. And that's where I saw the biggest growth, was from 2002 onwards. I think a lot of people came here for the Olympics. They liked what they saw. They enjoyed, had a good time. And some of those people maybe got job offers, said, hey, I'll try Utah. Some people bought vacation homes here. And that's when I started seeing the growth, and it hasn't stopped since. It's not projected to stop either. So definitely an appreciation. When we had the 08-09 crash, now we're just talking northern Utah right now. So northern Utah, we lost only about 10% of our value. So $300,000 home probably dropped about $30,000. Depending on the city, there's a lot of variables on that. Now, southern Utah got hit very hard. Prices went down by about half, primarily due to the fact that at the time, there were a lot of second home owners. People owned a home like in northern Utah as their primary residence, vacation home in St. George, or maybe they lived in Chicago and then had St. George as a secondary home. And during tough times, people will typically let their vacation homes go if they can't afford the payments and keep their primary residence. So St. George did get hit heavily. So also, thanks for putting a smile on my face. You're welcome. I don't know what to say. Welcome to say whatever you would like. But all my videos and my question and answer session is G-rated. So I try my hardest not to go beyond that. I do get children that watch my videos and children that will sometimes join for my live question and answer. So I do have to keep the questions or the topics to a G rating though. That's the only thing I ask. How bad is cabin fever in the winter? Wondering if main roads are cleared enough in the far suburbs to get to retail needs. Okay, I'm a little bit lost on that. Cabin fever in the winter, yes. Some cabins that people own are not accessible due to the high snowfall. A lot of cabins are at a higher elevation. So if you are plan on living in a cabin year round, you would definitely have to have a way to make your way around. So I don't know. I can tell you from experience, and this isn't in Utah, this is in Idaho. So my father-in-law they have their residence, but then one time he had a second residence that was in an area that got a lot of snowfall, and he had a snowcat that he literally would have to drive that snowcat all the way for 4 or 5 miles to main roads to then grab his pickup truck to go shopping or whatever, because the snowfall was so heavy. There are areas of Utah that can be the same way. So up in Sundance, really steep. My grandma has a rental house in there. Yeah, like areas of Sundance, a little tough. I wish I could donate. I love Utah. I am 12. Great. Yeah, cabin fever means feeling stuck at home. Yes. Cabin fever in the sense of being tired of stuck inside. Okay. Yeah, I took that the other way. Sorry about that. I was thinking about people who own cabins up in the mountains and stuff like that. and they don't get to their cabin anymore. I don't know. I don't experience cabin fever. I really don't. During the winter months, I'm just as busy as the summer months. If I'm not doing projects around the house, YouTube videos, I enjoy the outdoors. I enjoy my snowmobile. I enjoy going up to Idaho, taking the snowcat out to some backcountry, some remote areas. I absolutely love the Utahn Mountains and taking the snowcat up there. I also enjoy my skiing. So, and if I get a little tired of the snow, then because I'm a big golfer, we just head south and we go golfing. We'll catch a flight maybe to Phoenix, take a drive to Las Vegas, and we'll golf nonstop for 3 or 4 days. So plenty of friends that do that. So no, I do not get tired at all during the winter. Love it. Do you think at a certain point insult could be necessary? Possibly. Looking to move to Utah next 3 to 5 years. What area would you recommend? It has larger lots, 1 to 3 acres, not too much snow, and decent amenities. Okay, that is a tough one. That is more of a tough one. I would say a couple areas. Let's go back to the map up here. It's getting harder and harder for 1 to 3 acres. Most of the developers are not offering lot sizes that big anymore. They can take a 200-acre field and cut that up into quarter-acre lots or even small. I've seen 1/5-acre lots, maybe 1/3 of an acre lot, and they can put 2 to 3, 4 times the amount of homes. So if we're looking in the Provo-Orem area, if you look at areas like Payson and Santaquin, any of these areas down here, Salem, you will find homes with larger lots. So that would be in that area. We'll talk about northern Utah first of all. The other area will be over here. Nope, wrong one. I'm sorry. Further up north. When we look at areas to the west of Salt Lake City, get out to here like Stanberry Park, some areas of Tooele, Grantsville, you will find larger lots. If you're looking at northern Utah, you'll find maybe some 1-acre lots to the west of Ogden, maybe areas like Warren, West Weber, Taylor. Get up into South Willard, Perry area, you can find 1-acre lots, maybe not much bigger. When you get up towards the Tremont area here, Tremont, Elwood, Deweyville, all these small cities here, you can find 1 to 3 acre lots. And then if you were over in the Logan area, pretty much out of town, when you go to like Hyde Park, Smithfield, Nibley, Hiram, you can find 1 to 3 acre lots. When we are talking further down, if you want to go further down in the state, we can go to areas, maybe somewhere here. It'll be Cedar City, Utah. In actual Cedar City, Utah, you'll have a tough time finding an acre to 3 acres, but there are a lot of surrounding towns that are just outside of town, maybe 5 to 10 miles outside of town. Hamilton's Fort, some of these areas outside of town, you'll be able to find 1 to 3 acres. When you get down to southern Utah, it'd be very, very tough anywhere in the St. George area to find 1 to 3 acres. You'd probably have to go to areas. It's even getting tougher now in areas like Hurricane and Laverton. You get over towards Leeds, Torqueville, Apple Valley, and this is rural living out in some of these areas. You could probably find 1 to 3 acres. And I guess my question would be, I've covered the whole state a little bit. There's also areas when you get past Park City, go towards the east of Park City. There's areas you can get 1 to 3 acres. Camas, places like that, 1 to 3 acres also. And I guess it would really depend on where, if you're retired or you're working. If you're working, do you have to go into an office every day, or do you work from home at where you can choose wherever you'd like to? And that can narrow down some. Does new construction Utah have bidding or not? Yes, extremely bidding. Yes, and that's how they're doing it now. With the rising lumber, and I've been involved in a couple of these recently. With the rising lumber prices, there's a couple things going on. There's some builders out there that are canceling contracts and raising people's prices too. But what a lot of builders are doing now with the rising prices is they are not, like, it's very hard right now to get a new home. So they are waiting until the home is about 40, 50, 60% complete, basically to the sheetrock stage. So once it's sheetrocked, they have a good idea what their price is on that particular home. Then they are putting it to market. And if it's $500,000, that's $500,000 in a bidding war. You submit your highest and best offer. And new construction has changed a lot with a lot of the bigger builders that are building. It's no longer you get to choose your paint colors, your cabinets, et cetera, et cetera. They have already picked out a package that's going in that home, and it is what it is. There's no changes. So I just had one we tried to change. We tried to change the countertops, and our only hope was if they had someone else, it was a section of homes, is if someone else along there was willing, that wanted their particular countertop, then they would do a swap. So just came from LA to Ogden just yesterday. Well, hello. So far, I love it. Some adjustments to get used to. Yes. So speaking of Ogden, Utah. So Ogden, Utah right now on 25th Street, they are filming a movie. I saw the cameras going and I stopped in there today, actually. Hey, what are you guys doing? They are filming a movie for the Lifetime channel. So live filming going on right now. And so I asked someone else that was there, and someone said that Vin Diesel is in the movie. Don't know if that's true or false. How long is this stream going to be? Probably going to be here for a while. Usually goes about half hour. I've had them go an hour and 15 minutes. I don't mind it. I do this at my home, so I have nowhere to drive to, et cetera, et cetera. So it's works out great for me. All right. What's the best pizza joint in Salt Lake City or Utah? That's a great question. And in my opinion would be the Pie in Salt Lake City. They have a location in Salt Lake City. They also have a location in Ogden. I'm not too sure if they have any other locations, but the one in Salt Lake City is up by the University of Utah. It's one of the original ones, kind of a college hangout, very popular with college students, but the Pie is very, very popular. That would be my go-to place. I have a full list of cities, and you named a few. I'll be retired by then. Thanks. You're welcome anytime. We can talk on the phone or something like that. Also, maybe narrow something down for you. I'm in California, but I was born in Provo, Utah. I'm looking at moving back to Utah. I know you're a realtor, but I don't think I can afford a house. So where would you recommend to move to? Part two. I'm looking for an apartment for now, but I would like to get a house later in life once I'm in Utah. I also only stayed in Utah 3 months after I was born, so I don't know much of Utah. Were you the one that sent me the email the other day? I did receive an email from somebody very, very similar that was born in Utah, but then was living in, I think it was San Francisco area, California. And I did respond to the email if you didn't see that. I guess the big question I have for you is, will you be working, retired, or working from home? Because that could change everything. And then from there, we could go as far as maybe some recommendations on where I would probably look for an apartment. That's how I would handle it, first of all. Maybe if those questions. So, because you hate to say somewhere like Provo, Utah, but you take a job in Ogden, Utah, and you've got an hour-and-a-half commute every day. It'd be a nightmare, absolute nightmare. So thank you so much for your help and your time. Anytime, if I can be any assistance, let me know. Gonna call when you read this. Hello, sir. Hello, George Floyd. I'm from Minnesota. No, I texted you a few days ago, 760 area code. Well, I'm sorry. I don't remember a text. I may not have responded to the text then, I guess. I don't recall if I did. Do you have any first-time house buying advice? Wow. Good question. Kind of stumped me a little bit. I would say I have a good bit of advice on that. My mind is thinking about a million things right now, but if and I guess I would have to know what your situation was, but a little more about it. But one thing that I think is a great opportunity if you're younger and you want to build equity real fast or put more equity into a home is to consider renting out rooms in your house if you can do it. A lot of homes in Utah have basements. And I see rooms being rented for $400, $500, $600. And I know people who have 2 or 3 roommates and they're collecting $1,100, $1,200, $1,500 a month in additional rent that they are putting towards their mortgage and setting them up for more financial stability later in life. So that would be one advice that I have if you would like to do something like that. So 24 years old, currently working security, but I want to transition into electricity. So when we were talking about electricity, are we looking at like an electrician wiring houses or commercial? If so, the whole Wasatch Front, you would be able to find a job. There is a shortage of contractors in all the trades. So you could, from Provo to the Ogden area, possibly even in the Logan area. Not as familiar with the Logan area as far as what jobs are available. But what's the best Indian food in Layton? I do not have a recommendation for you in Layton. When it comes to Indian food, I go to Salt Lake City. So George Floyd, really? Come on. That name did have me thrown for a moment. I will say that I was that's the first time out of doing these live question and answer sessions since, I don't know, I think I started this back in September, October. That's the first time I've come across a name that actually, I had to read it twice to make sure I was reading it correctly. You did, but I forgot to reply since I've been stuck working. Okay. Well, I'm glad I responded to your text message. I thought it was a email that you had sent me. Thank you for the advice. Anytime. I met a real estate agent online. Yeah, that's me. He got real hostile to me when I told him I am black. Oh, well, that wasn't me. I'm not certified in doing electricity, so I'd want to do an apprenticeship to learn the ropes. Okay, so probably one of the trade schools. I believe there's a trade school in Ogden, the ATC in Ogden. They offer an electrical program, I believe. We have tickets to the rodeo in Ogden this Saturday. Looking forward to our first Pioneer Day since moving to Utah. Good. I've heard the rodeo's real good. They hold them in Salt Lake City and Ogden. I'm personally, I've only been to like one rodeo, so. Are those red flags? Oh, about the real estate agent that you met online? Yeah, I mean that's a total shame that somebody got hostile and told them that you were black. That's, you know, that irritates me. So we have good people in this world, no matter what race you are, what country you come from, et cetera, et cetera. And to judge people, I don't understand it. I really don't understand it. I've met great people from all over the world. I've traveled the world quite a bit, and I've lived outside the United States too. But that's terrible. But if you want to contact me or something like that, by all means, I'll help you out 100%, no matter what it is. Speaking of flags, I hear the state of Utah is looking to change the flag. There are some rumors about that. I had a dream that the second coming of Christ happened and my family went to heaven. And oddly enough, it was like a jungle hills and a double hockey stick with a small island, and it was. Okay. Oh, I skipped one there. Hardcore Austin. Would that be Austin, Texas? I'm 23, just moved to the area from Michigan to American Fork last night. Any advice? Well, enjoy Utah. Enjoy the outdoor recreation that we have here. One of the most beautiful areas we have in the country. I'm a little biased. But, yeah, I don't know. Advice, I guess, give me a little more detail on your question. Are we talking like for a job or et cetera, or was American Fork a great place to choose? So, too many trolls on your live stream today. You need a moderator. Yep. No, George Floyd, he's not a troll. I think he's a genuine individual. But, you know, with the screen name you've created, it's almost like I want to meet you. You know, you definitely made me look twice at that. So, and there were cargo ships. Okay. So as we look a little bit more of some of the news that's happening going on, there is a new Costco coming to Salt Lake County. It is going to be in the Riverton area, around 13,400 south, which will be much, much needed for the residents down there. People in Utah love their Costco. Absolutely do. Thanks. I'll look at the trade school in Utah to get my certification. I'm done with California, so I'm thinking about moving next year, hopefully. Great. You might be able to get a trade school too in California and complete the courses or whatever and then make a move. That'd be one option. So do you remember the band Hall & Oates back in the 80s? Yes, I do. I remember all the bands in the 80s for some reason. Don't know why. And the criminals were literally monsters. Okay. So that's what I've got for tonight. Any more questions? Let's see there. Would you mind making a video about top elementary schools in Layton? Possibly, or we could talk about it on the phone or something like that. I've got quite a few clients who I've sold homes to that live in the Layton area. I mean, I could do some research and we could have a conversation about it. I just started a new job, got an apartment at a new apartment complex, American Fork. Okay. Went to Silver Lake Hike the other day. Love it so far. Everyone is very nice. Well, I'm glad everybody is very nice and is open, welcoming you with open arms. Lost for words tonight. But American Fork, great area. Lots to do down there. Silver Lake Hike, another great place to go. Yes, you're right in the heart of quite a few hiking areas down there, mountain biking, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah, enjoy the outdoors if you enjoy the outdoors. I do. I love it. I love my mountain bike. I'm more of a mountain bike guy than a hiker these days. So Okay, I'd rather get certified in Utah than California since that will allow me to get out of California sooner. But I'll text you back about moving to Utah. Okay, you're welcome. You're welcome by all means. Yeah, try the ATC in Ogden. I know that they do. I got a friend that's a painting contractor, and I know they do some painting classes and everything there. And I believe he told me one time they have an electrical program. So who would you recommend for HVAC around Orem? I don't have a recommendation for HVAC in Orem. The guy that I use for my HVAC is further north. I don't think he covers Orem area. I don't think he's got time for it. RN, I love my mom. Great. Did you see Ricky Caruth came to Salt Lake City today? I did not. Somebody told me about that, but I didn't realize he was coming now to Salt Lake City. So he's a great guy. Great guy. Has an unbelievable real estate business. Unbelievable. 10 times, 50 times the size of mine. That's okay. Please ban nightmare. Okay. You got it. Great. I think I covered all the questions if I did not leave any out. It's been a great night. I second that. Pretty bizarre comments tonight. There you go. Never know. That's okay. It's all fun and games. I have a good time. No, that's kind of my personality. So I like fun and games a little bit. So it's all good. It's all good. If you read some of my comments that I get on some of my videos too, they can be, it would put some of these comments a little bit down. So, all right. I didn't know Post Malone lives in Salt Lake City. Yes, I believe he does have residence in Salt Lake City, and he has done a few things in Ogden over the years too. So there is quite a few celebrities that you would be shocked or maybe surprised, I should say, that have a home in Utah, especially in the Park City area. There's a lot of gated communities. Matter of fact, Michael Jordan just sold, he put his home up for sale. It was probably about 4 or 5 months ago. I'm not too sure if it sold. Probably did. But he had residence in the Park City area. There's quite a few. When you're Park City, Deer Valley, there is celebrities galore that call Utah home. Yes, yes. By all means, all the time. Could you post it in chat so I can check it out later, please? And thank you. Okay, the ATC, yeah, ATC Ogden, by all means. I'll find your number again in my phone here and send you a text on that. Okay, great. Any more questions this evening before I wrap it up? I will be back again this time next week. Thank you very much.